Okay, good morning all. You're all very welcome today. My name is Katie O'Neill and I'm the Marketing Manager at the College of Engineering and Architecture in UCD, and I am your host for today. Today we are discussing masters that are available through the UCD School of Civil Engineering, and we are very lucky to be joined by the Head of School, Professor Amanda Gibney, two current students, Stephen Lynch and David McGuire, and a recent graduate, Heng Siwa. So without further delay, I would like to introduce the Head of School, Professor Amanda Gibney, to give you an overview of the masters available in the school. Over to you, Amanda.
Thank you, Katie. Let me just share my screen. I just have a few slides to support the conversation today. So you're all very welcome, and thank you very much for joining us today. As Katie said, I'm the Head of School of Civil Engineering, the School of Civil Engineering within UCD. So UCD itself was founded in 1854 by St. John Henry Newman. It's a leading research-intensive university, and it's in the top 1% of the higher education rankings worldwide. UCD is the university of first choice in Ireland. We have 33,000 students from about 144 nationalities. We have 9,500 graduate research students and 70 plus active research societies, student societies, and 55 sports clubs. So that alongside our academics is important that students have societies and sports clubs within UCD, and we do have a large campus in South Dublin. So the School of Civil Engineering itself, it's top in the QS World subject rankings in Ireland. Civil engineering recently celebrated 100 years of the discipline within UCD, and our school has 21 academics who are all proactive researchers. The research being undertaken within the school would be in the areas of structural dynamics, earthquake engineering, wind flow and computational dynamics, structural health monitoring, and behaviour soft soils, just to name a few of the areas that we would have research in. We have approximately 90 undergraduate students, 60 graduate taught students, and 40 graduate research students. And our students come from all around the world. Currently, we have about 25% of students within our school who are from outside the EU. So our taught masters offerings in the school deal with the design, construction and maintenance of the physical and naturally occurring built environment. It includes the design of bridges, buildings, roads, dams, and works relating to management of water resources. The contribution of civil engineers to society is absolutely substantial and can be seen in both the urban and rural development, in the safe supply of water, flood protection measures, and transport infrastructure, for example. So just wanted to tell you this, in terms of our taught masters programs, they deal with design and construction and maintenance of natural and built environment. They develop your ability to design and conduct experiments, to apply standard and specialized research tools and methods of inquiry. The skills are key attributes for life. These ones are key attributes for lifelong learning and continued professional development in a society that we live in, which is ever evolving. The numerous problem solving skills you develop will also provide access to professional careers in civil engineering design and construction, policy development, project management, business and finance, amongst other areas. And I'll talk about the areas that our students go into. A typical academic week for our taught graduate students would include lectures, tutorials, laboratory sessions, group design projects, and individual assignment work. These would be complemented by leadership roles interacting with undergraduate students and a series of presentations, a written thesis, and oral exam of your research project. Our assessment is typically a combination of continuous assessment during the trimester and an end of trimester examination. And while testing your academic ability, these assessment strategies also develop your written, oral, multimedia and communication and leadership skills, and those required of a professional engineer these days. So we have a number of master's students. I'll talk first about our 2-year masters. These would be our 2-year Master of Engineering programs. And these include an 8-month work placement in industry. All of our master's programs also incorporate a significant research project. So first off, our Master of Engineering in Civil, Structural and Environmental Engineering. This is a 2-year professionally accredited programme and would be suited to civil engineering graduates with appropriate prior learning at the level of, say, a BSc honours in civil engineering. The programme provides advanced learning in the fields of civil, structural, water, highway, geotechnical and environmental engineering. And you would have a significant choice in modules from across all of these areas in civil engineering. The second Masters is a Master of Engineering in Structural Engineering with Architecture. And this, again, is a 2-year professionally accredited programme and would be suited to civil and structural engineers with appropriate prior learning in the area of architecture. The programme provides advanced learning in the fields of structural engineering, very particularly, coupled with the study of architecture through architecture modules, also innovation leadership and professional engineering management. We have an ME, which is a Master of Engineering in Civil Engineering, and this is a joint programme, 2-year Masters programme again, where the first year study is undertaken in UCD and the second year is undertaken in Columbia University in New York. And graduates from this programme obtain a master's degree programme from both institutions. In first year you study in UCD and there would be subjects in the area of structural design, geotechnics and water engineering. And there would also be an option of an 8-month work placement during the spring and the summer of that first year. And students would require maintenance of a 2H1, a second class honours grade 1 performance and faculty recommendation for approval for acceptance for Columbia University for the second year of the programme. We also have an option for our students to take the Master of Engineering in Civil with business, civil engineering with business. And with this, you would take the core engineering modules in civil engineering, so in the areas of structural water, highway and geotechnical engineering. And these would be coupled then with core modules in business and management. So those would be the suite of 2-year Masters programs that we have. We also have 2 1-year Masters programs, and these would be suitable for students who would have a 4-year bachelor's degree, an honours bachelor degree program. And these are taught across 1-year programs, but a full academic, a full calendar year. So it would be taught across the autumn, spring and summer trimesters. The first of these is the MNGSC in structural engineering. And this would be for graduates who want to specialise and pursue careers in the area of structural engineering. There would be a combination of core and option modules and a research topic in an area of your choosing related to structural engineering. And you'd have the ability to tailor your learning to the aspects of advanced structural engineering that would be of most interest to you through this programme. You'd also study professional engineering management, energy systems and buildings, and environmental assessment management. The learning experience is two trimesters of lectures, tutorials, studio work, and individual project work, followed by a final summer trimester, which would be devoted to your research project. Similarly, then, our 1-year Masters of Engineering Science in Water, Waste and Environmental Engineering is taught across the three trimesters. And this focuses on the concepts of theories of water, solid waste treatment and environmental protection. Analysis, design and management of treatment facilities, including flood protection systems, are also included. So you develop your ability to collect, synthesize, evaluate and analyze data through this programme. And you'll also develop your oral and written communication skills. And you would work then in terms of your research project in the summer trimester, it would be on an environmental research project. You would work on it through the year, but most of the work will happen during the summer trimester. In terms of the jobs that our graduates would typically progress towards, it would be towards careers in consulting engineering, contracting, research, public agencies, education, and other areas such as business, information technology, project management, financial services, and law. Key employers of our graduates would be Arup, RPS, O'Connor Sutton Cronin, ESB International, Jacobs, Project Management, ACOM, amongst others. So that's a brief introduction to the master's programs we have available. And you're going to hear then, as Katie said earlier, from some of our students and one of our graduates from the programs. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Amanda, for that. I'm delighted to say that we have the opportunity to hear from one of our current students. So next up is Stephen Lynch, who is a current student in the 1 year, the MNGC Structural Engineering, to share his experience so far.
Hi everyone, I'll just share my screen now and I'll, as Katie said, give you a brief introduction to myself and the course that I've been studying so far. So let me know if you can see this screen. Now, hopefully that's better.
That's great, thanks Stephen.
No problem. So yeah, as I said, I'll just give you a bit of an introduction to myself first. So my name is Stephen Lynch, I'm 24 years old and I'm from Waterford in Ireland. The course, as Katie said, that I have been undertaking this year is the Masters in Engineering Science and Structural Engineering. I think the code is T279 if you want to read more about it. And as Katie said there, it's a 1 year full-time graduate taught program. So just a bit of background on myself. Before starting this program last September, I had completed an undergraduate degree in civil engineering from the University of Limerick in Ireland. And I graduated in 2019. Unfortunately, that program was a 4 years bachelor's degree program and there wasn't the option to go for masters. So as a result of that, I went into the workplace and I worked for a year with a company called Keating Construction. They were mainly focused on design and build marine projects. And I actually have a few pictures now on the next couple of slides just to show you the kind of work that I did for that year. So this was one of the projects that I worked on in Dublin Port. It was the redevelopment of Ocean Pier to allow larger vessels such as the cruise liner shown to come into Dublin and berth safely. I was involved with a lot of temporary works designs rather than designing the permanent structure. And my role was with the contractor, so it would have involved a lot of coordination with the site team, although my job was office-based. This is just a second project like that. It was also in Dublin Port that we carried out in 2018. And it was the design and build of a new roll-on, roll-off jetty for large vessels to come into Dublin Port. So unfortunately, during my year working with Keating, COVID hit, and as a result of that, they had to place a lot of their staff members on temporary layoff. So in August of last year, I was placed on temporary layoff, and I kind of made the decision then. I'd always wanted to go back and you know, get a master's degree for a number of reasons. And I made the decision last year to do that, and the timing just seemed right. So I started in UCD last September. So the reasons for going back to education, I suppose, was mainly that I wanted to kind of specialize in structural engineering. Although I had a degree in civil engineering, I kind of realized during the year when I was working that I would have rather to specialize really in the design of structures and multi-story buildings and things like that. And even in my undergraduate degree, I did enjoy those kind of structural analysis, dynamic modules. So that's when I made the decision to go back and do a master's degree in UCD in structural engineering. Another reason really was because one of the educational requirements nowadays to become a chartered engineer with Engineers Ireland is that you are required to have a level 9 master's degree. So this course in UCD ticked that box. And then finally, I really just wanted to, you know, add to my CV and become more employable in the future. So those were my main reasons for going back and starting this course in UCD. In terms of just how I found the course so far, I found it very enjoyable. And these are, I've just listed here some of the main benefits that I've found with this course. The quality of teaching has been really good. And as I said, I have enjoyed my year so far. This is a 1 year full-time course, so I have 2 months left in this course. I just have to complete the summer trimester, which involves carrying out a research project, a structural research project, as Amanda had said there. So really, I found one of the best things about this course was that there was a wide variety of modules on offer. I've listed the ones that I chose there, so you can see this really is a wide range between bridge engineering and geotechnics, and then structural dynamics and analysis and things like that. So I found that one of the best parts of the year so far, really just the wide range of different projects and modules I was working on. As I think Amanda said as well, there's a lot of continuous assessment involved, which really does take the pressure off when it comes to the kind of end of semester exams. And so I enjoyed that as well. There was lots of group work and project work. Now, obviously, the way the year went, this degree was, or my year, sorry, was kind of carried out online, really, the majority of it. So there wasn't a whole lot of face-to-face interaction, but I did enjoy the group project work nonetheless. Most of it carried out over Zoom, but I presume next year when COVID kind of lifts and the country opens up another bit, you guys will probably be face-to-face, and that'll be beneficial to you all as well. And then there was plenty of resources there available. So UCD Library was excellent. There was careers fairs and portals, job portal online as well, which helped me secure a position. And there was also always weekly drop-in sessions if you ever had any questions. And in general, the staff were excellent, very helpful throughout, and they were easy to contact, which was good as well. So I've just put in 2 slides here really with some of the projects that I worked on throughout the year. So this was the project for one of the modules which I chose, which was engineering design project. So we had to design a new pier for Dublin Airport, beside Terminal 2, if anyone is familiar with Dublin Airport. So that was that project, which I really enjoyed doing, and it involved the structural analysis and choosing different materials as well. And there was a big emphasis on sustainability for that project too. So that was one that I thoroughly enjoyed. And then another module that I carried out this semester was bridge engineering. And these images here just show some of the analysis that we had done. So we created a grillage model and a finite element model to determine the deflected shape of a simple bridge deck shown there. So I enjoyed that too. So for the future, I have plans to hopefully kind of finish my research project in the coming months, as I said, which is on the structural condition monitoring of floating offshore wind turbines. So I'm kind of getting into that now, and hopefully in the next couple of months I complete that and graduate in September then. In the future, I do hope to work in the field of kind of consultancy. I have an interest in multi-story buildings, so hopefully I can work on that in the future too. And as I mentioned beforehand, through the UCD careers portal, I found a new job come September with DBFL Consulting Engineers in Dublin. So I'll be starting a role there as a graduate structural engineer. So those are my plans for the future. And that's how I found the course so far. If anyone has any questions, you can ask now, or maybe if we leave it to the end, like Katie had said, that's fine too. But yeah, thanks for your time, and hopefully that has given you a bit of an insight into this course.
Stephen, thank you so much. That was really interesting, especially that you had come from a position where you were working and you made the conscious decision to go back into a full-time master's, and very uplifting to hear that you've already secured a job through the knowledge you've gained in the master's starting in September. So congratulations to you. Now, next we have Heng Siwa, who is a graduate of the ME, which is the 2-year Civil, Structural and Environmental Engineering Masters. And Heng graduated in 2020, so just last year. So over to you, Heng.
Hi guys, so I'm Heng from Malaysia, and I had my 3 years of Bachelor of Science in UCD before proceeding with the master degree. And I'm currently working in MJH Structural Engineering down in Blackrock. So it's a structural engineering consultancy specializing in providing engineering solution to the offsite and modular constructions industry. So let's talk about the 2 main reasons why I've decided to stay in UCD for my master degree after finishing my bachelor degree. And the first reason being the quality of the academics. And lecturer in School of Civil Engineering are very experienced in their area of focus. And as we all know, in engineering, it is not all about theoretical side of it. In fact, many of the solutions need to be practically be able to. So from what I've learned from these lecturers are not only the theories, but also the practical side of it. Because you might have many ideas, but not all of them are practically achievable, and many aspects need to be considered when we're trying to materialize an idea. So many of the classes are actually incorporating the practical aspect of engineering, so you can get an early exposure of what the real world engineering is like. And so throughout my time in UCD, I really enjoy the teaching styles of these lecturers because they make you think instead of just giving you a set of equations to solve. that's something really good to see. And personally, I think that's how engineering should be, because I don't think you actually need to be an engineer to just solving equations. So that's basically my first reason there. The next reason was the opportunity to gain professional work experience for 8 months in the industry. I think this is superior because it gives you a taste of what you'll be doing in the future. And more importantly, not many universities incorporate work placement into their degree. And even there is, you wouldn't get as long as 8 months of internships. They'll be much shorter than that. And you can't really learn much from a short period of work placement. So looking back at it, I really appreciate this opportunity because I got to secure a job even before I graduate. And that's what happened to many of my classmates as well. And I'm not saying that you definitely secure a job before graduate, but I mean, even if you don't get it to continue at the same company, at least you have that work experience accumulated in the 8 months. And that's all it matters, I think, because you will soon realize many of the jobs you wanted to apply are looking for experienced candidate. And if you don't have any of the relevant experience, you'll find yourself sort of in the middle of nowhere because you need a job for experience, but at the same time, you also need experience to apply for a job. So these two things kind of contradicting each other. And so this is a really good opportunity to get some industrial exposures and acquire some experience. So that's the two main reasons really. And before I finishing off, I just wanted to show you guys a few pictures that I've worked in during my internship. Is that showing up?
Yes, that's perfect.
Yeah, so this project is located in Croydon, London, in the UK. So that's the tool core that was built before the module were placed. So this is a modular project, sorry. So from this picture, you can see the module are being lifted up and then placed around the core and tied into the core to transfer that forces. And those modules are prefabricated offsite. So once they get on site, just lifted it and then place around the core. And then this is the look. This is almost finished at the moment. I'm sorry, it's finished actually. From this picture, it's almost finished. So it's just the cladding it's installing as the building goes up. The taller tower stands at 44 stories, and then the shorter one is 38 stories. So upon completion, this will be the tallest modular building in the world. So the taller one is 135 meters tall. And then the last picture, so I think it was completed early May this month. So that's how it looks like at the end with all the cladding installed. So basically that brings me to the end of my presentations. I know this is quite short, but I hope that you guys find it helpful.
Thank you so much, Heng. Fascinating pictures of the modular buildings in Croydon. Fantastic, the technology that we see coming to the fore there. Also, I think it was wonderful to hear the benefit that you got from the professional work experience leading to your current employment as well, and that you really benefited from that 8-month period. So thank you for sharing that as well. We have a third student who is a current student. This is David McGuire, and he's in stage 2, so his final year in structural engineering with Architecture Masters. So thank you, David.
All right, I'll just share my screen here. You can see that, yeah?
That's great.
Okay. Sorry, yeah. So my name is David McGuire, and just this semester I finished my master's in structural engineering with architecture at UCD. So in this presentation, I'll share some of my experiences from the course and from key modules and my internship to my thesis and opportunities that this degree has opened up. So just as a quick overview of some of the modules I studied during the degree, I continued with the design and analysis of structures modules that would have been covered in bachelor's degrees for structural engineering. And in terms of the architecture component of the degree, the modules I studied cover kind of the process involved in planning and implementation of projects in the real world, rather than studying the actual history and theory of architecture, which is covered more in the bachelor's degree for structural engineering with architecture. But I also studied some geotechnics and bridge engineering. And then the last two modules I've highlighted here are ones which have given me great experience in various ways, which I'll expand on in the following two slides. So firstly, the innovation leadership module, which is a module which I did in fourth year, which was the first year of my master's degree. In this module, I helped to run the creativity and design module that first year engineers at UCD undertake. So for anyone here who didn't study first year engineering at UCD, this module basically involves small teams of students who are given weekly design problems to solve and then create prototypes in class. So the first year groups are instructed and managed by fourth year civil and structural engineering master's students. And for me, this involved public speaking in front of around 100 first years and having to present the problems and respond to questions. We also had to manage time and make sure all tasks were completed within the session, and we had to assess and grade the work of the first years. So all of these experiences I found were very valuable, and it was great fun working with the first years. But ultimately, being able to speak about these experiences in terms of leadership and presentation skills are a great help in job interviews and look very good on a CV. Then in fifth year, I had the case studies module, which is a really important module as it allows you to apply what you've learned over the past few years in engineering to realistic design problems. So each week, groups are given some sort of structure to design, and then the groups must produce drawings, sketches, and basic calculations for their solution. Then you have to present and defend your solution to the class, and a couple of judges grade you. Some of the designs I was tasked with coming up with were a stadium, an office building, a bridge, an industrial warehouse, and some of the drawings I produced can be seen there on screen. This module is definitely one of the most important I did at UCD. Although you can get a bit of a hard time from the judges, it is really worthwhile because you can learn so much about kind of the uncommon common sense, so to speak, in designing structures, and just learning how to actually go about the process. Then one of the big highlights of the master's program for me was the internship I did last year. So as part of the master's, obviously it's been highlighted already, you do an 8-month placement in a company with opportunities to go either on site or to a design office, and the jobs, they tend to be paid, which is obviously great. But you can choose from a list of UCD approved companies, and there are several opportunities to go abroad to companies that UCD has built good relationships with. So for example, there are companies in New York and London that previous students have gone to, as well as several in the UK. In terms of my own experience, I went to New York for my internship and worked with a big structural engineering firm called Thornton Tomasetti, who UCD have a good long-standing relationship with. This was obviously a brilliant opportunity for me to experience living and working abroad, and also getting exposure to really notable large-scale projects, the likes of which I'd be unlikely to encounter in Ireland. So some of the really high-profile buildings that the company had been involved in the past can be seen on screen. So you've like the Jeddah Tower in Saudi Arabia, skyscrapers in the Hudson Yards area of Manhattan, the Mercedes-Benz Arena in Atlanta and the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. On my own internship, I got to work on a really interesting and exciting project. So I worked with a small design team on a new training facility for the Carolina Panthers NFL team. So as a sports fan, obviously it was really cool being involved in this kind of project. And I suppose if they ever win anything in the future, I can take credit for it. But in terms of the work that I would have done on the project, it included creating and managing a 3D model of the whole building on a structural analysis software. I also designed steel beams and columns and stairs and elevator shafts throughout the building. And it wasn't just me who got to experience interesting projects. Several of my friends in structural engineering worked on interesting projects all over Ireland and the UK. So one lad worked on bridge design and inspection in Scotland with AECOM, and one of the girls did the same in Ireland with Rowan O'Donovan. So one of the bridges she worked on was the New Ross Bypass Bridge in Wexford, which some of you might recognize in the top right image there. And another student worked on site at the new Cherrywood Town Centre development in South Dublin, which, as you can see in the bottom right image, it's a huge project that's basically building a whole town centre from scratch. And this year I completed my thesis as part of the Masters. So there was a wide range of different topics available, but I chose one which featured lab work, mainly just it would be a reason to get out of the house during lockdown. But my thesis involved the physical testing of a new type of steel connection. So a steel beam with this connection at the midspan was supplied, and I conducted a load test on it using the testing frame in the Newstead lab at UCD. So it was great being able to conduct a physical test for my thesis. It was very practical, and I had a lot of responsibility for organizing the whole experiment. And I definitely took a lot of valuable experience from this and from working with the experienced lab technicians. So after graduation, there are many job opportunities for my class. I'll be starting work with Arup this summer, and several of my classmates are starting with other renowned companies like AECOM, Minehart, and Rowan O'Donovan. And you also don't necessarily have to stick to structural engineering with the degree. Like one of the girls in my class is going to work for a geotechnical engineering company, and also there will be lots of opportunities with big site contractors like CISC or among others. But at this stage, I think everyone in my class has a job sorted, or at least has had an offer or two. So it shows the value that this degree has and the opportunities that it opens up, even despite like possible economic worry as a result of COVID. And just on a final note, although you'd be studying structural engineering with this degree, there is a lot of overlap with civil engineering master's students, which sort of makes you part of a larger class. And for me, this is definitely one of the highlights of not just my master's, but my entire time in UCD, making friends in the Newstead building where you would be primarily based. Since Newstead is mainly for civil and structural engineering students, I find that you get to know your lecturers quite well, and they're all very approachable and friendly, which certainly makes life a lot easier when you're maybe stuck on an assignment or something. But and the Newstead building itself is great. There are lots of nice study spaces. There's labs for practical work, a big computer lab, and a canteen where you can hang out. So that's my presentation. Thanks very much for listening.
Thank you very much for that. Really interesting to hear the perspectives of 3 of our students. And delighted, David, to hear that you've already secured a job alongside most of your classmates. That's excellent to hear. So now we're going to move on to the Q&A part of the session. So I'm going to ask my colleagues to turn on their cameras and unmute themselves. So we have a few questions coming in. So the first question is to Amanda. We have someone asking, they're more inclined towards construction management. So which would be the best master's program for them to apply for or pick up on?
Yes, thanks, Katie. Rishi, I think the opportunity to take up a 2-year master's in civil structural and environmental engineering might be the most appropriate for you, where you can choose modules that would suit your needs and your interests. And I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for you for work afterwards. So I think I would recommend the civil structural and environmental ME for you.
Excellent, thanks, Amanda. This one is really for you, Laura. And it's fantastic. We're looking forward to this particular attendee has already accepted their offer to study the MNGSC in water, waste and environmental engineering. But from an administrative point of view, they're wondering about bringing their documents for verification. How should they do that? Do they need to bring their certified copies when the semester commences, or is there an online certification process?
Yeah, sure. So congratulations on the offer, and we look forward to you coming to join us in September. So yeah, for most people, their offer is made on either scanned or copied documents. So UCD does require the original documents, and there are a couple of ways that students can provide this documentation. So it can be supplied at the moment in the form of a secure link to an online verification system by your institution or awarding body. And then you can also, if that's not an option, you can have your institution, your university, actually email your documents to our student desk directly. So it can't come from the student itself, it has to come from your institution, but that's another option. I will pop a link in the chat to more information on our document verification, and it'll bring you through the steps that you will need for your university to take if that's the way you're going to do it. At the moment, because of obviously COVID-19 and various restrictions, our student desk is closed. So this is the preferred method, that you either use an online verification system or have your university send on the document link itself. And as I said, I'll put the link in the chat. If students want to wait, if they can't have their institution do it, or they don't want to obviously post their documents, they can wait until they're on campus, hopefully in the coming September, and actually present their documents in person to the student desk. That is an option as well. So as I said, the preferred method at the moment is to have your institution email, and I'll put a link in the chat now, just so you have more information on that. And then if there's any issues with that, I'll also put myself and Katie's contact details in the chat as well, so you can email us directly, and we can help you that way as well.
Thanks, Laura. Amanda, I think the next one is for you. Someone is wondering, is the dual masters, which I'm assuming is the one with Columbia they're referring to, and the structural engineering with architecture masters accredited for chartership? I'm assuming with Engineers Ireland, they mean.
Yeah. So currently the ME in structural engineering with architecture, so all of our 2-year ME programs would be accredited. Now the ME in civil engineering, it similarly follows our ME in civil structural and environmental engineering, and we will be presenting that to our accrediting body the next time they will come. So it's currently not on the list of accredited programs, but we will present it to our accrediting body when they visit next.
Thank you very much. Someone is asking, Patrick is interested in the water, waste and environmental engineering masters. Can you tell me if employers have contacted UCD looking for these graduates from this particular program? And I guess, Amanda, we don't have a water waste student here, so maybe Amanda, you might answer that question.
Sure, yes. So we would constantly have employers contacting us, and also contacting our careers network as well in UCD, and jobs would be posted on the UCD Connect, so that graduates or students who are finishing their programs can see what employers are looking for graduates. So yes, we would constantly have, in all of the areas within the school, we would have employers looking for graduates at all times. There certainly are a lot of opportunities available for graduates at the moment.
Excellent. And Heng, a question for you, if you don't mind. Somebody is wondering, you had done your internship and then secured employment with the company you did your internship with, but they're wondering about the supports you got. How did you find your internship?
It's actually something like what Amanda have said. So the company will contact UCD for if they are looking for graduate student or like intern students. So through there you can apply for the company you are interested in. So after you work for 8 months, they will ask if you want to continue or you have some other thoughts, like you might go somewhere to work, something like that. So you have a chance to accept that offer, or if you want to go somewhere else, and that's something like that.
Okay, thanks, Heng. Laura, it might be worthwhile you just explaining also the role of the internship managers that we have for the college.
Yeah, so we have 2 internship managers for the university, and they work with all our ME students, our students on our 2-year programs, which all have either 6 or 8-month internship as part of the curriculum, as we've talked about already. So what they do is they do a lot of the legwork for the students. So they build up their relationships with the companies themselves. The companies will approach them and they'll work with them to put together job postings. And then they will put together like an internal portal where students apply for these particular roles that have been put together for them. So it's a great experience for students to get that more how to apply for a more technical role, because you do have to put together your CV, your cover letter, you'll do an interview for these places, and you'll choose a couple of ones that you'll interview for, and hopefully students get at least their first, second or third choice of places that they'd like to go. But the internship managers are working constantly throughout the year to make these connections with the companies, and year on year companies are coming back working with our internship managers because they see the value of these internships.
Brilliant, thank you, Laura. And a compliment to you, David. Someone is saying they really like the research project done by the last presenter. They're wondering how the procedure is for master's students when they're choosing their research thesis. So I guess, how did you choose it, or did you have to work with a particular professor responsible for their supervision? You might explain that process.
Yeah, so at the beginning of the first semester for the final year of the masters, we'd be given a long list of possible titles. So I think for structural engineering, I think there might have been something like 30, maybe more than 30 different titles that we could choose from, and there was a mixture of like practical lab work that I did, or more research-based ones that cover all kind of areas, from like connection design that I did, or there was a few theses done on modular construction.
Okay.
There was some on bridges and dynamics. So there's a wide range of stuff, but basically you're given a list, and you can contact the lecturers associated with each topic and talk to them about it before you make your choice.
Okay, so there seems to be a level of flexibility from the amount of choice you're given anyway, is that correct?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
Great. Back to you, Amanda. Is the water waste masters mainly dominated by water modules?
It would also have environmental based modules, so water treatment, flooding, hydrology, flood protection systems. So there is quite a lot of water, but there is also the element of environmental protection as well. So quite a range of modules.
Excellent, thank you. And Stephen, a question for yourself. Someone is talking about the modules that you chose, and I know you listed quite a few of them. They're wondering, how did you know which modules to choose? Did you get guidance, or were you able to talk to lecturers before you chose your modules?
Yeah, I was actually fortunate enough that one of the guys who I would have done my undergraduate degree with actually had gone on and done the same courses I chose to do the year before I did it. So I got in touch with him and kind of spoke to him about the modules that he'd done, and I tried to kind of figure out which ones I thought would suit me. But on the UCD website as well, there's actually very detailed module descriptors on there. So if you do want to learn more about it, it's done very well in terms of the material that will be covered in that module, and as well as that, how it will be assessed, which I found very useful when trying to decide what modules to choose from. But I'm sure if whoever is wondering like what modules to choose, you could always reach out as well to the lecturer or the member of academic staff who's in charge of that module, and just probably send an email to them and ask them for a bit more information on it, if required.
That's very good advice, Stephen. Thank you. So we've reached the end of time allowed for this session. I'm just sorry, I thought we had one more question there, but all that's left for me to say is thank you very much to Professor Amanda Gibney for her time, and for our fantastic students and alumni David, Stephen and Heng, and my colleague Laura.
you.